background, he's downstairs. Today I am filming this on my phone because the battery for my normal camera has died, and the other one and the charger is at my mum's house because I filmed some videos there a while ago, some craft videos, which I am yet to edit and do something with. But today is going to be my first trimester of pregnancy. At point of filming, we're still in the first week of December, and I am 18 weeks pregnant tomorrow. So I'm fairly settled into the second trimester and generally feeling much better than I did in my first trimester. So I'm going to do this week by week, I think. I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. I'm going to go up to, I think, week 12. So up to when we had the scan, the sort of normal first scan. I say normal because we did actually have an early scan, but that will be discussed during the week that we had that. So I'm just gonna get started. Sorry if I seem a bit out of breath. I am, as you can probably tell, sat on the floor in front of the chest of drawers in our bedroom. So yeah, week 4, I found out pretty early that I was pregnant. I say we, although I'm the one growing the child and carrying it and gonna have to birth it and stuff. I find the saying "we're pregnant" thing a bit odd, but you do you. So the main thing was nausea. Started from pretty much the day after I would have conceived. It was really mild at first, and then was fairly copable with, for the first couple of weeks, and then it started getting really bad, but as we shall say. So I'm just using my going through my pregnancy journal. My boobs and nipples started getting bigger and more sensitive as well in week 4. I had fairly mild cramps, nothing like my premenstrual cramps, and I was peeing more often. So that was that. Week 5, my nipples started getting a bit darker. My boobs were getting bigger. I was starting to have breakouts, which isn't unusual for me pre-period. But yeah, these have lingered, as you can tell. My temperature was a tiny bit higher than it normally is, because we were using sort of temperature method for contraception. It did not work for us this time, but we had been discussing starting to try to for a baby anyway, so that was good. So we were discussing that, and then we were like, oh, you're pregnant already. And I was more awake in the mornings and then more tired in the evenings, and I was just generally thirstier as well. And yeah, so that was that. I did my self-referral to Ipswich maternity unit as well. So I've actually got in here that I found out when I was 5 weeks pregnant from my from the first day of my last period. So week 4, I must have backfilled that, because that week I was like, am I, aren't I? Have my premenstrual symptoms changed, or is this? So week 6, this video is generally going to be rather TMI, as these types of videos tend to be. I was rather sweaty during week 6. I could feel my pulse in my tummy, which isn't that unusual for me sometimes. I was having minor cramps again, slight dizzy spells, and then this is so week 6 I had bleeding at lunchtime at work, so I rang 111 who told me to ring my doctors, so I did that, and the doctor said to do a pregnancy test because I didn't have any pain or vomiting even though there had been this bleed, and it was a reasonable amount of blood. I should have probably put this as a trigger warning. I'll put trigger warning in the title. So yeah, it soaked through the pants I was wearing, and I think almost started to go through the leggings I was wearing as well at work. So yeah, the doctor said to, once you get home, do a test, and then the doctor rang me back a few hours later after test to see what it was, and the test was positive, so the doctor, he wasn't overly concerned anyway because I wasn't having any pain or vomiting as well as the bleeding, but because the test was still positive, he was even less concerned. But I was kind of thinking like, yeah, but surely even if I had miscarried, the test would still be positive because the hormone would still be in my system. It doesn't leave that quickly. But hey, that's what the doctor said. But he did refer me to have an early scan, which I didn't have until I was, from my last menstrual period, I think I would have been 8 weeks, but at the scan I was measuring 7 weeks, so I sort of jumped back a week, as it were. So in that time between the bleed and the scan, we had gone supposedly for a week camping in the Lake District. The weather kind of ruined that, and we only spent 3 nights camping and then a few nights at my eldest brother and sister-in-law's in North Yorkshire. But anyway, week 7, I had already informed my boss by this point that I was pregnant as well, because I thought the job I was doing, I was dog grooming, I thought it was sensible to let her know as soon as possible, which I did. I let her know the week that we found out, so pretty much straight away. So week 7, I've got in here that I was feeling excited, nauseous and dizzy, and like nervous and just generally tired, and I also threw up for the first time as well. And then that I've got about that we had the early scan, and that I had to take time off of work due to the nausea and dizziness, and that I was craving, so my first main craving was like at week 7, which was like potatoes, sort of either roasted or like chips, sort of pretty bland, slightly greasy and salty. So that is a craving that has kind of stuck throughout. And then week 8, I have got, again, excited, that I was tired, stressed, nauseous, dizzy, and just not hungry. So the doctor signed me off of work at this point until the start of my mat leave, as my job, I described the duties that my job entailed, so being on my feet all day, bending over, stretching up. My stomach was likely to get knocked a lot, I was likely to get bitten, likely to get kicked in the stomach as well, heavy lifting. So that's what I said the job entailed to my doctor, which is what it entails. Being a dog groomer, it is a very physical job, a lot more physical than most people realise. And he said that that could cause problems in pregnancy, so he signed me off until what would have been the start of my maternity leave in April next year. I sent the sick note to my boss, and then the next day, without any prior warning, she terminated my contract. I'm not going to discuss any more on that. So yes, and then I signed up for 2 free classes. So they were online, free hypnobirthing introduction, which I can't really remember much of, and then an online baby care class, which was a couple of hours, which was quite useful. Excuse me. And then cravings that week was chocolate, roast potatoes and chips. Not all together. Week 9, I was very nauseous. I vomited a couple of times. I had my sort of introductory appointment with the midwives. So where I live, they introduced it, I think the midwife said at the start of this year, a continuity of care team of midwives for the area that I live, and I think like just inside the area of like the community is like for the community slightly further away from the hospital, so I'm just on the right side of it, I think, for that team rather than having to go to the hospital for all of my appointments. And then had a main midwife as well, who is absolutely lovely. So we had a group session with them and a couple of other expecting parents. My words are not working for me anymore. And then I had my COVID booster because the doctor sent me a thing saying book it. So I was like, okay, you're obviously recommending it, I'll do it. Week 10, I was super nauseous, really shaky on some occasions, and I kept throwing up as well. So I mostly rested that week, had my booking in appointment, which came back absolutely fine, low risk. I was referred to the perinatal mental health team, that's a bit of a mouthful, as just to like kind of put me on the radar due to my personal mental health history, which I'm pretty sure I've been fairly open about on here. I've struggled with panic attacks since I was about 8, and I was diagnosed with depression when I was 16. Given the unexpected life changes that happened, i.e. losing my job, she thought that was probably a sensible precaution, and I agreed with her. So they didn't actually feel the need to do anything then, so they've sort of discharged me straight away, but it means that if I do need them later on, they've already like seen my name, so I might get seen a bit quicker. And I had my flu vaccine as well, and I was like just craving plain savoury stuff and chocolate. So for the first few weeks of pregnancy, I was completely off of chocolate. So week 8 is when me wanting chocolate came back, and me not wanting chocolate is weird. So yeah, plain like savoury, slightly over salted stuff was kind of all I could keep down as well. Week 11, I was tired, a little bit less nauseous, but I did vomit 4 times. So that was great fun. And yeah, didn't really do much, did sort of like some sort of baby, labour and postpartum research for like the kind of things that I'll need. Craving like bland savoury stuff, clementines, chocolate and lightly salted crisps. And then week 12, which is the last week I'm going to cover in this video. I was feeling reasonably good, threw up a couple of times, but like the nausea had kind of stopped, so I was like suddenly like getting that sudden onset of, oh crap, I'm gonna puke. Luckily every time I managed to either make it to the toilet, or it was when Cameron was driving so he was able to pull over. There was one time where he wasn't able to pull over, and this is gross, but I held it in my mouth until he was able to pull over. That was, I think, that was the first time I threw up. But anyway, so I was still really tired, but was trying to be a bit more active. The scan went really well, and measured actually 13 weeks pregnant at my 12-week scan. So yeah, yeah, and I was craving chocolate and plain starchy stuff. So I still felt like after that I'm just, you know, I'm feeling much better now. It has taken a few weeks. So yeah, that is my everything in my first trimester video. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say. If you've got any questions, pop them down below. Yeah, not really got anything else to say, so I'm just gonna go because this is at nearly 20 minutes. So yes, and got a load of laundry to put out, so yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe, and I shall see you guys hopefully fairly soon. Bye.